This is Digging Deep, an initiative of the Doctors on Air program. Today we'll be talking about meningitis. It's a condition that can't wait, and the importance of having early detection to save lives. Here on this program, we want to talk a bit more about the discussions we had earlier on meningitis. And for those who weren't present at the earlier one, I don't know if Dr. Nwosu, if you want to just share with us quickly what meningitis is so that they can know what the condition is about.
Thank you for the question. Meningitis simply means inflammation of the meninges. Meninges refers to the membrane of the brain. So when there's an infection, the membranes become inflamed and they swell, there's pain, there's fluid collection, and all that gives you what we call meningitis. And it could cause infection all the way even to the brain. Some actually develop encephalitis from meningitis, and other symptoms come up like headaches, fever, vomiting, and as complications come up, you have brain symptoms, neural symptoms, losing consciousness, seizures, convulsions, feeling weak, forgetfulness, recognition issues. All kinds of things go wrong that affect the brain would affect you if you have meningitis.
So that makes sense.
And unfortunately, the final sequelae, which we're here to talk about, is death. And unfortunately, death occurs so frequently in this condition where it shouldn't.
Yes, what Dr. Ndidi was just saying about all the symptoms that she was just describing was exactly what my late daughter had.
Wow.
She just slipped into a coma and died in her sleep. So I'm just, understanding from the medical side of it how quickly this illness or disease can take effect.
Like you spoke initially also about, the different causes. There's so many different organisms that can cause it. And is that responsible for why some people seem to slip into coma faster than others?
Yeah, that's part of it. Meningitis is a serious disease. Unfortunately, depends on the one you have. Could be bacterial cause, could be viral, could be fungus, it could be even from non-communicable causes. Tumors can also cause meningitis. But the worst of them all is the ones caused by the bacteria, notably Neisseria meningitidis. That is that has a fatal consequence. And it's a lot in Nigeria because we're actually in the meningitis belt, the parts of the country where it's dry. So at certain seasons in the year, that increases the, what's the word now? The of the bacteria to cause disease. And that requires, the problem with meningitis is that the symptoms starts very innocuously. You have fever, that could be malaria. You have vomiting, that could be stomach flu. You have a headache.
Does weather affect this? Because
Yes.
it's interesting.
Yes.
You say that in Nigeria, which is known as a hot nation, and in England, it's cold. It's in winter that they have it. But we have Harmattan in December.
Which is cold.
Which is the same time.
Yeah.
So is it cold or heat?
It's the dry, cold weather
Right.
that actually causes, yes.
Dr. Nwosu, can I ask you a question? Because, like I said, we heard of meningitis for the first time in 1974 when my sister went to do her NYSC in the North. So why did it take up to 2009 for WHO to now say we have a World Meningitis Day? That's a long time.
So there's so many things that are causing trouble in our lives beyond, and the truth is that if you look at malaria kills a whole lot number of people, and the mortality for malaria is very, very high just because we have the anti-malarials available. So you see there'll be more focus on those ones. Then as we get as we win in those battles, the other ones are now coming out. So that's why meningitis is coming out in the fall. In the past, it won't be what you'll be hearing all the time.
It won't be one of the first things. But as we, it's like in the past, we had things like smallpox. And smallpox was absolutely deadly.
Yeah.
So, but when they did the vaccines, all those vaccines now took effect, we don't have smallpox anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
Now,
Okay.
Well, measles is now coming up as a big thing.
Yeah.
So when we now deal with measles, that goes down. Like we've dealt with polio.
Yes.
Polio, they've taken all the vaccines. Now polio has gone down in incidence.
Yeah.
If you remember when we were younger, there were so many crippled children.
Yeah.
We don't see them anymore. So I think that's the progression.
Okay.
And there's another thing. The meningitis in the past, we only focused on Neisseria meningitis, right?
Okay.
But we have so many other organisms that cause meningitis, and we've gotten vaccines for them. So it looked like we were winning. But new strains are coming out now and making things like what you described.
Because
So we were before we were working with just four strains.
Yeah.
Now we've gotten a vaccine that covers the 5.
Oh, wow.
Okay, but the 5th one is not as common as the 4. And there's one particular strain that's been difficult to get a vaccine for because it looks a little bit like the human cell itself. So the immunity is not
MMD?
I
I believe.
Yes.
It's funny, because
the one.
even after my daughter passed, I had to take the other children because my older son also had meningitis, and we had to take them to England to get them vaccinated against Men B. They couldn't get the vaccines either. So they had to really raise it high before they could vaccinate all 3 of them because they weren't readily available. Well, why is that?
Again, it's if you look at the epidemiology of the meningitis, you see that the common ones before it was A, then it was C, and they have X and the Y. So it wasn't as popular as the others. And sometimes it's in terms on costs in making these vaccines. It's a matter of numbers.
What I wanted to say though is that it's very interesting because we have a lot of issues now with anti-vaxxers. Don't seem to have it with the meningitis vaccine, or do we? Do we have challenges? Because in your hospital, I know you do a lot of vaccinations, particularly with people coming to school. I know that the foundation also supports that. Do we have enough people willing and ready to accept vaccines?
Over here, in this part of the world, actually there's a healthy acceptance of vaccinations as against in the north. When I say in this part, I'm talking about in the south part of Nigeria. And in the west, we don't have that acceptance towards vaccines. And it's beginning to affect and influence us a bit. You know what happened during COVID? There was so much anger against COVID. But I had to tell this story several times that vaccination is actually one of the miracles that God actually, God used us to show that vaccines even more, should be more acceptable than medicines. Because our body works like the vaccine. It's actually the germ that would now influence our body from producing cells that will fight the germ. Can you imagine that we're born with cells that recognize particular germs, and then it now multiplies to protect us when those germs come to fore? So it's the same principle that the vaccines work. You introduce the germ into the body, and then the body has cells, specific cells that would now multiply to fight that germ. And then it keeps sentry cells in various corners, like in our mouth, in our eyes, and the various openings to say, if that cell comes again, come out and destroy it. So it's awesome.
Wow.
So we really need to encourage vaccines. And so whether it's meningitis, whether it's any other, that should be our number one and our joy to be happy to embrace. It's not someone introducing some strange thing, as people say, no.
Dr. Nwosu, there's something else also that, I'm bothered about. So when someone has meningitis, right, what is the time frame before they slip into a coma? Because we've seen 2 cases of people slipping into a coma, and we've seen the progress, we've seen how it's gone. And because we've experienced one before, we were like, oh my goodness, this is happening again. So what's the time frame when you have meningitis for
There's no time.
There's no time.
Because you can see from the theme, meningitis can't wait. Most unfortunately, if we don't have a high index of suspicion, then we may be thinking too late. And it will now depend on a lot of things, but once you think, you should think about it. You should think about meningitis. If someone is feeling sick and is not responding, I remember when I was in school, a lot of children came into the emergency room, and almost half of them had meningitis. And my professor used to be so upset. What's happening out there? What's happening out there? When I've now come outside there, and I can see why it happens. you see 600 people in a year, and maybe only one person or two people actually have meningitis. So the high index of suspicion for every single headache to be meningitis would not be there.
Okay.
However, if you see that you have a patient who hasn't improved, then start thinking meningitis. So what we do, like in our practice at St. Kizito, is once you have a history of being treated, then we start thinking about and send you for a lumbar puncture, for a spinal tap. And that means we'll have to refer you to the nearest tertiary hospital that has the facilities to carry this and keep the child there, because we run a clinic, not a hospital. And that's what happened with that child that I mentioned earlier on.
Does every meningitis case, do they come with a sore throat? Will they come with a stiff neck?
It's not every case that presents the same.
It's the same, okay.
So if we can swing into talking about the cases that you have been involved in, would you say that delay was a major problem for you in your own family case? If you could share with us how that happened and how you feel that, or what you want to say to the audience about not allowing delay.
Okay, it's going to sound a bit funny, but for my niece in Nigeria, the first day she had the headache, the clinic close to the house, went and they treated her, and it didn't go down. So the second day, I think it was either Friday or Saturday, we decided to take her to the hospital on the mainland. And I'm sorry, but it was 205, if you do remember. There was a day where there was a big party on the Lekki Express, and it actually caused, when I say traffic jam, it was traffic jam. We were there for almost 3 hours. When we couldn't get past, we had to go back home. So which meant that we had kept her at home from Thursday, Friday. So Saturday morning, when they had cleared up the party scene, then we now got to Surulere. Now, I can't say, which I'm saying, whether that delay also, made her slip into a coma very quickly, but we were bitter because, look, this is an emergency. You cannot block the road when there's an emergency. Do you understand? It hasn't happened again, but this was 2005. You cannot. Emergencies, all the time. So for a long time, I won't lie to you, the family was bitter with the gentleman that had the party, because we thought if you didn't block the road with your party, we'd have gotten through and we'd have gotten to the hospital and say to the doctor, look, this happened last year. These are the things that we saw. Can you please, go ahead with this? So why I'm saying this is, maybe we got there late, maybe we got there early, but we felt bitter for a long time that the gentleman who had the party, debarred us from getting to the hospital on time.
From your perspective?
It's interesting because my daughter actually escorted her friends to the lift on a Wednesday, and we have a photo to show of that incident. And then she went back to her room. She was waiting to leave the next day.
She wasn't feeling well at the time.
Well, she had a cold, she said, and flu symptoms, which I spoke to her. I think I spoke to her Sunday night. And then, so this on Monday, I didn't speak to her. Tuesday, I didn't speak to her. So on Wednesday, I was calling her. She didn't pick. So she went to bed after she left her friends. And on Thursday, she was discovered in the morning. So whether she was alive like 24 hours before is what I'm trying to say. So hers just happened immediately. That was really rapid. And it was interesting what Dr. Nwosu, you were talking about, the different strains. She was actually vaccinated with the C vaccine and like a month or so before. So we would have thought, she was covered. But unfortunately, from the coroner's report, she actually died of the Y strain, which we understand was actually prevalent in Saudi Arabia and areas like that. So being a university student, you can meet anybody. So which anywhere in the world. So, just saying, I've taken this doesn't mean. That is why the 4-in-1 is the most important thing you can do. The one that is more comprehensive, that, covers different strains, yes.
So can you tell us, how did you feel on hearing this loss, about your loss, what experience did you go through at that time? Because it would have been so traumatic. And how can people listening learn from it? What can we learn from your experience?
Well, losing a child, is everybody's nightmare. Hearing of how your child passed. Unfortunately, we had to experience that, which is why, setting up our foundation is based on the fact that we don't want any other families to go through that. The news came to us through police officers coming to the house to tell us. Like I said, she was found in her bed by the cleaner that went to clean the room. So, it was 2014, but it feels like yesterday. Every day feels like yesterday. So if we can help to just prevent just one family from experiencing that, that's what our foundation is about. Making sure that nobody, or as many people as possible, can be saved the pain that we had to go through. That's the core essence of our foundation.
And that's why we focus on the vaccine.
Yes, which is why the vaccines are very important. If you take the vaccine, like Dr. Nwosu has been explaining, we have mechanism in our body that will help us to say, no, don't come, I've got, I can fight you. But if you don't even have that, you don't even have a chance of fighting it. So help yourselves. Try and, take the vaccine at the appropriate time. And, I'm speaking really to young people. I think young people, because my daughter was 19, first year in the university. And, abroad is even known as the lover's disease. Apparently, when they are at university, freshers week, a lot of fresh week, kissing, things like that, because actually it's something that is at the back of your throat. Most people are carriers.
Yeah.
You might not be a sufferer, but you can be a carrier.
Yeah.
So when you just meet new people, coughing, also sneezing. So it's something that is quite, it's easily catchable at university, as you are mingling with different people from all over the world. So that is why it's actually important for young adults. When I say young adults, 16, 17, 18, going to university for the first time, you are meeting new people from different parts of the world, and you're experimenting through kissing and things like that. Just try and get the vaccine before you go. I know going abroad now is something that is being mandated to do. You have to get it, like you have to do TB as well.
Yeah.
Meningitis is also another vaccination that is being required as a visa requirement. So I think it's important to get the vaccine as quickly as you can.
I think it's so important. And it's not just about those who travel away, because we also have meningitis here. And what is interesting is a lot of people think meningitis is only in the north, but it is here, and it is here in Lagos, and it's happening every day. And so it's so important that we think about this. The Commissioner of Health of Lagos State recently said that malaria has gone down. And so if people are getting fever now, they need to get tested immediately. And if it's not malaria, think about it and find out what it is. Because could it be one of these organisms that could lead to meningitis? Because as you know, it starts off not necessarily as meningitis, and it could lead to meningitis. And so it's so important that we really, figure out what to do. And so for you, Abi, it's happened twice in your family. How does that make you feel? And what could you share?
Like Mrs. Braithwaite said, it's painful. You'd think as if, this is how many years, but talking about it now. When you see someone dying and there's nothing you can do about it. There's just nothing. You're watching them slip away. And these are young people in their prime. It's, it's okay if you've lived your life, you're 90-something, okay. But young people in their prime, and you're standing there and you're watching, it's like a replay, for the second, it's like a replay. So you're watching a young life slipping away. Please, if there's anything we can do, even if it's the vaccine, let's do it. We now need to tell parents, because, sometimes it's the parents that say, I don't want my daughter to take that vaccine. I don't know the side effect of it might lead to infertility or whatever. It's what we say to ourselves. So I think, for the sake of my 2 nieces that have passed, please, parents should now take this vaccine thing very seriously. They should support your foundation. I like what you're doing, and I thank you for that. They should support the foundation. One vaccine is 35,000 naira. Please, there are lots of people in Nigeria who can afford to even buy 100 vaccines and tell you to go out and give it to people free of charge. So please, my takeaway is, now we don't want it to happen again. We want everyone to be vaccinated and to hold on to what we can talk about now, saying there's a vaccine to help us save lives.
Yeah. And in addition to the vaccine that covers this area, we should also encourage them to take the other vaccines, the pneumococcal vaccines, the Haemophilus influenza vaccines, because all these organisms also cause meningitis, particularly for the very young.
Okay.
And then those that are immunocompromised. Sometimes we think about immunocompromise amongst people that have HIV, but a lot of things could cause immunocompromise.
See.
Malnutrition could, stress could, drugs could, transplants could. There's so many things. So we can't sit down and decide that we're vulnerable or we're not vulnerable. Extremes of age could, and who knows what extreme is for one person.
Yeah, tell the other.
I'm surprised when I hear some people say their age is here. I'm like, okay. Okay. So it's important that we push immunization beyond one vaccine. We need to cover ourselves. And I'm so wowed with what you're doing, Boom for Good. And I strongly believe that people will come behind, so that even when the government, who is trying, they've tried to add streptococcal and Haemophilus influenza in the children's vaccines, but it's for much younger people. What about those of us that have passed the age, So we need to find a way to build our herd immunity. And the aspect of kissing, contact, airborne, hygiene still plays a role. But we have people that will have these germs and they're not sick. So you can't now say, I was exposed here, you have to actually have good hygiene all the time. Have your sanitizers. If COVID taught us anything, is to be more hygienic.
Have sanitizers.
I have. It's always in my bag.
I used one just before I came in here. There was one somewhere. So it's very important that we still manage all that. Yes, absolutely. It's made a lot of difference. It will keep making a lot of difference.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
All that.
Can you tell us a bit more about the foundation and how people can reach you if they want to support?
So the foundation is our first aim in the first 5 years was to raise awareness. What is meningitis? What causes it? Like the doctor has been talking about, and try and bring in other stakeholders like the doctors' practices to just share leaflets, information, so that they are more. They recognize symptoms that are different to malaria, so that they can know. But now, speaking to you, telling me that the test is about a lumbar puncture, I don't know whether I would have taken
That's the reason why.
So that's interesting.
But it's still the doctor's responsibility to think meningitis. So the idea is that, yes, you get away the first normal thing. So they actually didn't do wrong. The issue we'll have is if someone is slipping into a coma and you limit your diagnosis to one thing, we're not doing well. At this point in time, meningitis should be there, even though, because we just might, you never know what God will do. If someone, and we have other tests we do now. We do the Koenig's sign. We have some things we do the Babinski. We have things we do to help us know that there's something wrong in the neuron, in the nervous system.
Even sensitivity to light.
Yeah, so we have all the reflexes we test for and so on. We have some maneuvers that we do, and then once we do those things and say, ordinary neck stiffness, we ask questions. Do you have a bit of, because it may not be too obvious. Once you hear it, don't run away from this is possible.
Just like in COVID, taste. Taste bud was something that was something we take for granted. Just when I can't taste my food. So those are the first signs, that the things we do at the foundation. And of course, the most important thing that we do is to actually raise money for vaccines for those who cannot afford it. That is where we are really focusing on. Like you said, the government, they're doing a lot, but we as private individuals, we can help. We can all help in in small measures. A vaccination, we know, costs about 35,000 naira. So it's something that I'm sure that we can all do without effortlessly. And so we want to encourage as many people as we can to just buy, even if it's just one vaccine.
And how can they do that?
We have a website. It's www.boomforgood.org. If you go on our website, there's a page that says donate. You can scan that page and it will take you to our payment platform so that you can just donate. Every 35,000 naira can save one life. Please, just help us to save a life if you can.
Is there space for volunteers?
Yes, we could.
I noticed that Mr. Sowemimo has joined the foundation.
Yes.
Is there a way that people can join in and support in any way, raising awareness? The amazing thing about meningitis is that so many people have never even heard of it.
Yes.
They don't even know what it is.
Yes.
All these young people that are at risk of it, they have not even heard the word. So we really need to still get that word out there.
Yes. I think, we still have to focus on awareness as well. Awareness is more important. It's as important as the vaccine, because like you said, we had an incident the year before. You would have thought we would have been, more up to date, with our education on it, but we weren't. So, and even in England, when I hear meningitis, it's on the map of England, and they just put one dot here, one dot here, one dot here of the places that somebody died of. It never came home until the year before, when my son had it. It was actually when my daughter had it that, wow, this is real. So we don't want it to be real for people. We just want you to say, we've conquered that by taking the vaccination. So as many people as possible, go out, especially the young. I'm still going to speak to the 16 to 18, going to university, going to the next phase of their lives, to actually take themselves, like my daughter did, and take the vaccination. And we pray that by the time you do this, you won't have the unfortunate incident of her taking one strain and you getting another. Because the year before, another family was actually trying to push the government in the UK to roll out the ACWY, but it was done after my daughter passed. So if she had taken that ACWY, she might have been alive today. So please, it's important to take yourself for that vaccine as you are approaching university or higher institution that has a lot of people. You're going to meet people from all over the world, and you're going to interact, closely with people.
Thank you for sharing all of that. Do you have anything else to share, perhaps yourself, for the last few minutes?
I can't say it enough. Please go for the vaccine. If that's going to save a life, if that is the message that we are going to carry out, to everyone, please don't let your daughters, your son be victims. Learn from us and do the right thing. Be proactive and take the vaccine.
Dr. Nwosu, any last words?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank you for hosting this program to bring meningitis to the fore, particularly at a time when we're celebrating the World Meningitis Day that just passed. And I'm really honored to be here with wonderful women, Amazons, pushing forward an agenda that's very, very close to our hearts. Prevention is better than cure.
Yes.
By the time we start fighting for someone's life, with the uncertainties and the complexities around making a diagnosis, let's not get there. Let's get our immunization completed.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming on Digging Deep and sharing your experiences with us. It has been very important for both ourselves and for all the people who are listening. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe for new video updates.